Welcome to Reaction News Live. Today's updates.
Isn't that astounding? I mean, it is pure political power grab.
You might hear redistricting and go, huh? Why do I care? You should care, and this is why. Before and even regardless of any votes that are cast for the midterm elections, the decision that could be made in the state of Texas could make it harder for Democrats to retake the House in November. Who better to talk about this with than David Chalian? I cannot wait to talk to you about this. This is my favorite story of the day.
It is your favorite story.
It's my
You
favorite
love this
story
topic.
every
I
day,
know.
actually. I'm obsessed with it. Action. David, this story out of Texas is fascinating for so many reasons, but the most important thing that people need to understand is when they see partisanship in the House of Representatives, a very big reason for that is because districts in the House are gerrymandered, and they are done so to protect incumbents, and they are done so largely by whatever party is in charge of that state legislature. So now the Republican-led Texas legislature is doing something almost unheard of. They're trying to redraw the map in the middle of the decade.
Almost unheard of. Because
Almost.
as you recall from covering in Congress, some 20 years ago when Tom DeLay, who was in House Republican leadership from Congress, did exactly this, a mid-decade redistricting effort that is a pure political power grab. And just to add, I know we're going to dork out on this, but just to add what you're saying, the United States Supreme Court has said and affirmed that political gerrymandering, meaning just drawing districts based on what you're saying, an incumbent protection program or to amass political power, is legit.
Totally fine.
It's totally
You just can't do it based on race and,
Exactly.
and other reasons.
which could get complicated. It could thwart
Yeah.
the path of what Republicans try to do here in Texas. But what we're learning this week is that President Trump and his political henchmen inside his White House are very eager to see this mid-decade redistricting happen. When I say mid-decade, you know, Constitution mandates, a census is taken, everybody's counted in the country every 10 years. That usually then leads to a redistricting period, reapportionment, in the year after the decade.
The zero.
Yeah, in the year after the zero, that happens, right? So now, here we are in 2025, mid-decade, talking about this. There's no new counting that's going to happen. So now it's just about taking the lines and saying, can I take this district and draw it in such a way that more Republicans come in and it's going to flip from a Democratic to a Republican seat? And how many places in Texas can I do that? Why? Why are they doing it? Because you just said, the House is so narrowly divided, a lot because of this effort of how you draw the districts, that Republicans are looking, okay, we got the White House, we got the House, we got the Senate. History tells us this may be a tough midterm in 2026. What can we do to fortify our chances? Because the Democrats only need 3 seats, a net pickup of 3 to win control. And so now they're going hunting for, can we create more Republican seats before the midterm factor is even in play?
And you know, we do so much reporting and analyzing and talking about what voters want, what the reaction is by voters to, or from voters to what the president's doing, to what Congress is doing or isn't doing. And when you look at it, this kind of thing, just taking a pen and redrawing districts and having enough political power in a very big state, that could matter a whole lot more when it comes to who will control Congress in the midterms than the issues that we talk about every day.
Isn't that astounding? I mean, it is pure political power grab. Because, as I said, if Democrats are only 3 seats away, they're going to try to convert a net plus of 5 Republican seats in Texas off of this redistricting effort, they say.
That's what the president told members of the Republican Texas delegation that he wants.
Just a very simple redrawing. We pick up 5 seats.
5 seats. Now, that is a
lot.
tall order. And here, we have some recent history. From the last redistricting after 2010, there was an attempt to do this in the actual drawing of the districts. And what happens, Dana, is that if you're in the map and you're trying to bring more Republicans in Republican voters, draw them more into a Democratic district so it flips to a Republican seat. Well, that begs the question. Did you just steal a lot of Republican voters from the district over there that now may make that seat vulnerable to the Democrats?
So what
picking them?
are the current Republican lawmakers who could potentially lose some of their, frankly, their handpicked constituents?
As you said, their incumbent protection program.
Their incumbent protection program, they're going to push back.
Yes, that's why it's so fascinating. This was not met with resounding applause from every Texas Republican in the House of Representatives. They'll get on board with it because Trump wants to do it. Greg Abbott is doing this in the special session. They're not going to step in the way of it. But it wasn't like this is the best idea ever. There are going to be some Republicans quickly looking at their map saying, hey, don't steal a bunch of my voters that ensure that I get reelected.
After the 2020 census, so it was 2021, when they were doing all of the redistricting for each state across the country, I did a big story on this. And Texas was one of the states that we went to, and we looked at how they were redistricting. Remember, there was a guy I interviewed who was, this is his whole job, and he
It was
looked at the
amazing.
maps
I will
and
never
looks at the
forget that
lines.
interview that you did. Like, he was literally drawing the districts for you in that piece, like
right.
showing you on his computer screen.
How it works. And it just speaks to another dynamic that I don't think we can lose sight of here, which is the way that it is supposed to work is that, at its most fundamental, that voters are supposed to pick their members of Congress. And with gerrymandering, which is what we're talking about, not just redistricting, but gerrymandering, trying to, put the fixes in for the parties and the elected officials are choosing their voters. It's not supposed to work like that.
It's not. And we've seen outrage in the past. So I mentioned that Tom DeLay example from 2003. Do you remember that the Texas House Democrats fled to Oklahoma to avoid
That's
a
right.
quorum from being rich? And then the Senate Democrats in the Texas legislature, fled to New Mexico to try to prevent the Senate from meeting? Listen, they didn't have the math. They were just drumming up the outrage among Democrats, they were in the minority, to say, this isn't fair. You, the voter, are supposed to pick your representative, not have the representative pick you.
Although, let's be fair, blue states that have Democratic governors, Democratic legislatures, they play the game too.
Exactly. Newsom in California tweeted today. He was like, two can play at this game when Donald Trump put out his Truth Social about it. And in fact, you remember we just went through this massively expensive election in Wisconsin for a Supreme Court justice. Elon Musk poured tons of money into it, came up short. It was an overwhelming progressive Democratic victory. What was one of the things that Democrats were hopeful that their new liberal progressive member of the Supreme Court would do? Would actually take up a case that was being brought to redraw Wisconsin more favorable to the Democrats. Now, guess what? It didn't turn out that way. The Wisconsin Supreme Court is not taking up that case. They're trying to find new litigation to bring there. But yes, both parties play this. They seek maximum benefit, maximum value in how it will help their party get the majority in the House of Representatives.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the people it doesn't help are the people who want Washington to work. But that's for another discussion.
Thanks, Dana.
Thanks, David.
Breaking news. The USA stands has released a detailed report on assassinations attempt on former President Donald Trump. The report highlights major security leaks and the timeline of incidents. It also explains possible motives behind the attack. Lamar are now calling for urgent review in VIP security protocols. Watch the full video to learn what the report reveals. Let me know. Breaking news: the USA certainly has official released a report on the recent assessment inversions discovered alarming details about the set planning and possible political motivations. The findings sparked magnitude debates and calls for immediately planning possible political motions, security protocols, and public figures